Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about building wealth and how people have been doing this, at least the right way, for generations. All across history, really. People have been using these strategies that we're going to be talking about to consistently, time and time again, build incredible wealth for themselves and their family. And let me warn you, I am not going to be talking about crazy new things like crypto and some other alternative methods that some people have used, right? I'm not saying it's the end of the world to use them, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about tried and true strategies that you can use as a federal employee to build wealth over time, right? So we're going to dig right in. We're not going to beat around the bushes. This is all about building wealth, and I'm going to dig right in. And again, on the YouTube channel, I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm doing some drawing for you. Can't say my drawing is the best, but hopefully it provides some value. So we're going to dig right in. So the first principle that we have to realize when it comes to building wealth is that you have to be okay with being different. And sometimes you have to really enjoy being a little different than the crowd. Because here's the deal. The average Joe in America does not have wealth. The average Joe has a lot of debt. The average Joe barely has any savings. So if something came up, they would really not be able to afford anything, right? They're living paycheck to paycheck. That can't be you, okay? And if you're there, that's the first thing to change, okay? You cannot be average. That is the first thing that you cannot do, okay? When your friends, when your family, when the average Joe, your coworkers are saying they're doing something, you have to question. You say, okay, is this something the average Joe would do? Or is this the smart way to do it, right? In building wealth over the long term. That's the first thing. And the first thing we have to know when it comes to not being average is debt, okay? Talk about debt. Debt can be super helpful. Can get you a home, can get you a car in some cases. Oftentimes car debt is not super helpful because often people overextend themselves to get a car they really shouldn't be able to afford, but they do anyway. So in most cases, debt is no bueno. You do not want to get consumer debt. Credit cards are fine, assuming you pay off the bill and you can afford to pay for whatever you actually buy. You could get rewards, great things, but the average Joe has way more debt than they actually can afford. Because here's the deal. When it comes to building wealth, it's about your net worth, okay? Your net worth is the money you have minus your debt, okay? That is your net worth. And if your debt is high, then guess what? Your net worth is going to go down. And that is not true wealth, okay? Even if you have a big house, even if you have even lots of money in your TSP, if you have huge amounts of debt, that is going to be crippling for you now and in retirement. You have to be okay with being different. When the average Joe goes out and buys a brand new car because they want to, that may not be the best for you. Maybe it is. I'm not, here to tell you never to buy nice things. There's a time when you can afford it. It makes sense. All your other goals are taken care of. Hey, go buy that nice car, right? Enjoy life too. But you have to be okay with being different. And let me show you an example here. So this right here is an example of what the market does. It goes up and down, right? And let's say down here was 2008, right? Where the market had really come down. It had plummeted, okay? The market was way down. But ever since, it is really, there's been some ups and downs, but it has gone up, okay? And right now, we can debate on how good the economy is, but hey, here's the deal. Price of things are going up. There's a huge demand for homes, for cars. Basically, all the companies, major companies, are growing. They're trying to hire, right? So by those accounts, the economy's good. Things are growing. Things are going up. And guess what happens? When things are good and people say, hey, things are good, right? I've got a paycheck. Things are good. What do the people do? Well, they spend. They go buy a bigger house. They say, hey, I can get a bigger loan, right? Interest rates are down. I can get more of a house for that. So I'm going to go get the bigger house because I can, right? I'm going to get a new car because I can, right? But here's the deal. The people that build wealth consistently over time don't do this. As the market climbs, guess what they do? They don't overextend themselves. They say, hey, I know that as the market goes up, I'm going to save my money. I'm going to invest wisely, right? Because I know the market's going to come down. I know the market's not going to be the economy is not going to be as good like this forever. It's going to come down, right? And when it does, I know price is going to be cheaper. Cars are going to be cheaper. Home real estate is going to be cheaper. Investments are going to be cheaper. So I know if I am conservative financially on the way up, then on the way down, I will have the resources, because I didn't overextend myself. I will have the resources to buy low. That is why you see in 2008 and 2009, when real estate prices plummeted, they were so low. There were many people that were wise before that, and they bought up real estate like crazy, okay? And then guess what? Right now, real estate is so incredibly valuable. It is so valuable. So now those people are doing incredibly well because they bought when it was low and they sold when it's high, like right now, right? And so it all comes down with doing things different than the crowd. When things are going up, the average Joe wants to spend more, and they do. They overextend themselves. They increase their standard of living just because they can, right? Instead of saying, hey, no, I'm actually going to, when things are up, I'm going to actually do different than the average Joe. I'm going to keep my lifestyle the same so that when prices come down, when car prices come down, that is when you go shop for a car, right? That is when you go buy real estate, maybe a rental property, right? That is when you take advantage of stock prices where they're so low, right? That is when you really make huge dramatic strides forward in building wealth, right? And if you're able to have the discipline to do this consistently as the market goes up and down, because as we know it will, it's going to go up and down, then over time your wealth will be incredible. But it takes discipline, okay? You have to be focused, you got to be watching things, you got to know what's going on, right? And this is a real life thing of building wealth, okay? And I'm not saying time the market. That's not what I'm saying, okay? I definitely think you should be investing in your TSP even on the way up, okay? Even as things are going up. For example, the last 10 years, right? Things have been going up, so I definitely still think you should be investing, right? But here's the deal. You don't want to overextend yourself so that you have some resources when things go down. You are not toast, okay? You are not relying on things going perfectly for things to work out. You have some margin in your retirement plan, right? If you came to me and said, hey, I'm wanting to retire and I could do it barely because I've overextended myself and I've really bought the nicest thing I could possibly afford, I've really pushed the limit of my financial life, then in retirement, when you see a down market, boom, well, guess what? Maybe your retirement plan isn't gonna hold water, right? You have to be different. You have to be willing to sacrifice in the short term to have what you want in the long term. And again, I'm not saying postpone everything till later, right? There's a balancing act, right? But you have to, just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean you should, doesn't mean I should, doesn't mean anyone should. You have to decide for you where to allocate your resources so over time you can take advantage of the ups and downs that happen. Because right now, guess what? If you try to buy a house, it's incredibly difficult, right? This is September of 2021, and I talk with people all across the country and across the board. Buying a home right now or real estate in general is very difficult, okay? Because there are so many buyers and not very many people selling, right? And right now is the time to sell real estate because you can get a huge price for it, right? So when it comes to building wealth, you want to be different. You want to go against the crowd, and that over time is the way to build incredible wealth. And if you're doing this in your TSP, that's incredible. Because guess what? This is how it works in the TSP. The market's going to go up and down, as we know. When the market goes down, well, that means that you can actually buy more with less money, right? Because if the market price of, let's say, the C fund goes down, then with the same amount from your paycheck, you can buy more. And then over time, that's going to increase. So you understand, if you're different from the crowd, then when the market goes down, which it will, we don't know when, but it will, you say, hey, I'm going to actually double down on investing in my TSP. I'm going to double down, and I'm going to focus on the long term. And over time, the results will be spectacular. So I hope that was helpful. Have an incredible rest of your day, and I'll see you guys soon.